Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Horror Heaven77. And yeah, I just watched this a little while ago, and I thought I'd go ahead and talk about this one. Before I get started, though, I just want to take a second and I just want to say I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you're all staying healthy. I want to send nothing but, good thoughts and best wishes to every one of you out there. Please take care of yourselves and, just, yeah, my heart goes out to all of you. Anyway, so yeah, the movie that I decided I want to talk about today it come out in 2019. We're going to talk about Annabelle Comes Home. Obviously from the Conjuring universe and everything. And one thing that you're going to remember is that if you've seen any of the Conjuring movies, 1 and 2 or any of the Annabelle movies or The Nun or Curse of La Llorona or whatever, obviously you already know that the big thing that what Warner Brothers is trying to do is basically they're trying to create this whole universe based off of, the Conjuring films, and specifically the cases that, were, investigated, the paranormal cases that were investigated by the late Ed and Lorraine Warren, um, which, I'm going to let you know right now because you see on the back there, you see Ed Warren, Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga comes back to play Lorraine. Now, I'm going to let you know right now, if you haven't seen this movie, if you think that the movie is going to be completely centered on, Ed and Lorraine Warren, like it's going to be about almost essentially like almost another Conjuring movie, you're going to be kind of let down by that because basically they do return to play their characters, but pretty much the thing is they're only here to kind of just bookend the film. They're there at the beginning. They're there in the first act, but then they kind of return for the third act. So, but overall, I enjoyed this movie. I like a lot of the Conjuring movies for the most part. Um, okay, yeah, I mean, I agree. The first Annabelle, not very good. Not very good at all. The second one, a little bit of a step more in the right direction, so I kind of enjoyed that one. This one here, I think, is really good. It kind of seems almost like with each one they make, it seems like they get a little bit better. And I think also too the fact that you have Ed and Lorraine Warren, at least for a portion of the movie, I think that kind of helps. And that's and I think that's kind of it. I think when because like I know a lot of people really want the Conjuring 3, but at the same time a lot of people are like, do we really need all the spin-off movies? And one problem that you're going to notice when you watch this movie, when you already know that the whole thing is like they are trying to build this kind of, they basically want the Conjuring to basically be like the Marvel of horror. They want to have this entire world of movies that are all connected to the Conjuring. And this movie here is definitely gonna make you see that. You're gonna definitely see some things in here. You're gonna find out. There are so many. Um, that you could tell like new kind of creatures and demons and characters are introduced. That it's a pretty good bet that as long as the Conjuring universe continues, we're going to see movies based on these creatures and demons and characters. The story begins, basically kind of like how the first Conjuring started. You have the two nurses, they're talking to Ed and Lorraine about Annabelle the doll and, the things that she'd been doing. And, they, again, if you've seen The Conjuring, you kind of already know where it went. They're explaining that, the doll was actually a conduit and it used by a demon, but the demon really wanted to possess them. And they needed to take the doll with them. So, they're taking the doll home. And I gotta be honest with you, one thing I really kind of wish the movie would have been more focused on, is if you ever listen to the stories that Ed and Lorraine Warren told, they talked about they it was a night of hell when they took Annabelle, the real Annabelle, which we all know, if you follow Ed and Lorraine Warren, anything about the real story. The real Annabelle doll is basically a big Raggedy Ann doll. And, so they're taking the doll home and everything else. And they tell the story like trying to get that doll home was a nightmare. And they had so many problems. They had car problems, which they do here. They stop. They're having some car problems here, but it's like it was a lot worse than what the movie shows. Even at points in the, they said like, they had to stop and like things got so bad, like, like the car started steering in the wrong direction and things like that. And ultimately, what ended up happening was they had to pull off the road, and Ed Warren, the thing that finally got it to stop was that he splashed holy water on the doll and he said prayers and everything else, and they pretty much kind of performed over, and that kind of settled things down till they could get the doll home and get it safe. They kind of do something similar here, but it's very shortened. They get the doll home, and then once they get it home, they see that the doll, the evil can't be contained. They get it down into the museum, and they see the doll is having a negative effect on things going in the museum, and so they're like, okay, we have to contain this doll. And when they get, they already call the priest, tell him meet us at our house, and so the priest is there, he's waiting. So they take the doll down and they put it inside the case, and the priest blesses it and says a prayer and things, so that the doll won't cause any problems. So then they put the doll inside the glass case, lock it up, and there the doll is contained. And so they wait, and Lorraine Warren says evil is contained. So they know that it's, as long as it's inside the case and nobody opens the case, everything would be all right. Okay, so then, but then we find out that really this movie, the biggest portion of the movie, really centers around the Warren's daughter, Judy. And Judy, we find out that she's very much the unpopular girl at school, because of what her mom and dad do. She gets picked on, and one of the main kids who's always picking on her is Tony. I believe his last name is Rico. Tony, he's like really into picking on her and stuff like that. But if I'm guessing correctly, I think Tony was the one in real life. Tony was the one who ended up marrying Judy Warren, and now he pretty much runs the Warren's museum. Now that Ed and Lorraine have both passed away, I believe it's passed on to him, and he now takes care of the museum and handles things, handles their affairs, and things like that. But anyway, so, we find out, yeah, Judy, she's not very popular at school. She's considered kind of the freaky kid, the weirdo, all this kind of stuff because of her parents. So we have, and it turns out the Warrens, they're going to investigate a case. So they ask the girl that they always hire to come in. Her name's Mary Ellen. They ask her, can you come in and babysit, and take care of Judy while we're gone? Yeah. And we find out that Judy's birthday is coming up, and pretty much, she doesn't really have any friends as much as they would love to have like a big party, to celebrate her birthday. Yeah, it's just not really going to happen. So, but anyway, so Mary Ellen says, here's what I'll do. I'll bake you a cake and all this kind of stuff. And, so they're going to the store, and, actually Mary Ellen goes to the store, and, she's getting, cake mix and everything else. And she runs into her friend Daniela. And Daniela's like, oh my God, yeah, you're babysitting the Warrens kid, right? Is it true? Have you seen any really spooky stuff when you go out there to babysit and all this? And she's like, no, I've never seen anything and all this stuff. All right. So she's, let me come over. I just want to come over and all this stuff. And at first she's like, no, I can't let anybody over there and all this. And it turns out that the cashier at the grocery store is actually a guy that Mary Ellen has a crush on. His name's Bob. Everybody calls him Bob's Got Balls. And you're going to find out the joke's nowhere near as dirty as you think it is. But anyway, so she kind of blackmails Mary Ellen, tells her, if you don't invite me over, I'm going to tell Bob that you got a majorly crush on him. So she's, okay, fine, you can go and all this stuff. And so, they go up to pay for the groceries and everything. And, when Mary Ellen's back's turned, Daniela still tells Bob, she really likes you. And so they go over to the house. And at first, Daniela's kind of a bit of a pest. She's talking to Judy and everything, and just, having conversation with her. And she brings, she's all like, hey, I found out it's your birthday's coming up. She's like, I got you a birthday present. So she gives her some roller skates. And so, Judy's like, wow, I want to go out and try them out and all this. And Daniela tells Mary Ellen, hey, here's what you do. Go out, just keep an eye on her and stuff like that. I'll keep an eye on the cake and everything else. Everything will be fine. and all this stuff. So they go out, and uh, Daniela, the first thing, as soon as they're out the door, she goes and she's searching all over the house. She's searching Ed Warren's office and everything else, and she finally finds the keys, and she goes and she unlocks the door to the museum, and she goes down, and we find out that there's actually a reason why that Danielle is doing. At first, you think she's just being horrible, but then you find out that she actually has a reason because she wants to know if there's real spirits. She wants to know because we find out that her father passed away, died in a car accident, and Daniela honestly believes that it's her fault that her father died. So she wants to communicate with him to find out if he's okay, what's going on, things like that. And so she's looking around, and she's got the picture, and she's like, are there any spirits here, things like this. And then she comes across the Annabelle doll, and of course she does, the best, most smartest, brightest thing in the world. She goes and she opens up the case, and so now the demon, of Annabelle is unleashed, and it starts wreaking havoc and everything. And in the meanwhile, when it starts slowly building, like they start seeing things, they start hearing things, all kinds of weird stuff is going on. At one point, Judy and Mary Ellen and Daniela, they go into Ed Warren's office where they got all the files, all these cases that they're working on and stuff. And so they're like, oh, okay, let's look at some of this. And one of the things that they mention is the werewolf case. Now, I believe this is supposed to be. I've heard rumors and everything. We won't know till the movie comes out, but I've heard like this is supposed to be this is supposed to be kind of the storyline for um, The Conjuring 3 was this case about the werewolf. Now, I read the book Werewolf that Anne Lorraine Warren wrote, and supposedly that was more about a guy who, it's about a man who is kind of possessed by this demon that would manifest and make him kind of feral, kind of wolf like, and he would go around attacking people. And so it's mentioned in this movie, but they mention other story. They mentioned the ferryman, which that's an old folklore tradition that the ferryman. That's they always talk. Why do you see people like putting pennies on like when a person dies? Why do they put pennies on their eyes? And it's explained, like they put them on the eyes so that when the ferryman comes to take their soul to the afterlife, you have to have the toll to pay him. So, uh, and you're gonna find out, like the ferryman becomes a character in this movie. So it's like, don't be too surprised. Like after you watch this movie, don't be too surprised if before too long, maybe a couple of years down the road or whatever, we're going to find out, hey, the Ferryman is now going to be a movie part of the Conjuring universe, along with Annabelle and the Nun. And I believe that James Wan's supposed to be working on the Crooked Man. That's supposed to be, from the Conjuring 2. I think that's supposed to be another story. They got one on the, uh, I think they call it the bridal dress, which is it's a possessed dress that any woman that wears this bridal gown will turn evil and kill, will become possessed and kill, things like that. The werewolf story, like I said, that's mentioned in here. That plays a part into this. There's like this Chinese, I believe is, I'm sorry, forgive me, but there's like this Asian warrior suit that is possessed and things. And so you see, like, that's the thing. One thing you're going to know about this movie is obviously they're laying the groundwork and they're setting up, future movies for the Conjuring universe that we can probably be expecting years down the road if the movies continue to do well. I honestly don't know if this movie did well or not. I really can't tell you. But like if The Conjuring 3 comes out and that movie's a hit, um, I don't know. Imagine this movie didn't do too well. I mean, it's a Blu-ray only. This one didn't get a 4K release, so maybe it didn't do so hot. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, so it's like all hell breaks loose, and then the girls have to fight the demons, and one thing that I do like though is one thing that they did is they did not make Annabelle like start moving around, come to life. They didn't do like a Chucky thing with it. One thing that I always liked was, you would have the scene where it, like somebody's like frozen or something like that, and Annabelle It's like it's focusing on her, and you think that Annabelle is going to like jump up or leap up, but instead, like some really scary, grotesque demon will leap out or instead of Annabelle, which I'm glad they kind of took that route because I think honestly, personally, I think if you had Annabelle start moving around and start leaping at people, I think it would look really funny. It would look goofy. And I think the best thing to do is, like this was a better way to do it. So you think that Annabelle is going to jump out at you, but then something else is going to come out at you. And but then also too, it's mentioned in the movie that Judy. I don't know if this is ever was discussed in real life. I believe in real life when it came to the Warren's daughter Judy in real life. I think she was always they kind of always kept her life kind of private. They never really they never really like mess with her life or mention any information about her. So, but in the movie though, they mentioned that she apparently has the same psychic powers that her mother has, and obviously, and that's like another thing too. As long as the Conjuring universe is going to continue, obviously you could already foreshadow that's going to play a part in future Conjuring films, but and so now the three. You got the three. Well, Bob's got balls. He shows up, so now you got four. So all four of them have to try to get and contain the evil back into the doll, into the glass case. And but that was actually one thing I thought was an interesting idea that I liked about this, the idea that the demon comes out and starts basically possessing like everything in the Warrens museum, and like all this stuff starts coming to life, and everything else. I will say they kind of messed up the timeline a little bit though, because one thing you're going to notice is there's a little callback to the first Conjuring where they go down into the basement, and they go down into the museum and stuff, and they're looking, and you can see that little like toy music box from the first Conjuring. Well, the thing is, this is when Annabelle first comes into the Warrens Museum. So obviously this was way before that story. So yeah, they kind of did a continuity error there. But overall, the movie I like it. It's pretty entertaining. You have to pretty much be into the Conjuring universe. This one, I will say this one definitely has a real step above Curse of La Llorona, because, that's the thing. Like the movies, even the spin-off movies, have to kind of tie into the Conjuring in some way, or at least the Conjuring Part 2. Whereas, even the Nun ties into the Conjuring Part 2. And even the Nun kind of ties into, you know what I'm saying. But like Curse of La Llorona really has no, connection to any movies from the Conjuring universe. It kind of is just a standalone movie, where this movie really is part of the Conjuring universe. And, yeah, I think this movie was pretty well done. It is rated R, but I'm going to be sorry, but these movies, they're not gory. If you've seen any of the Conjuring movies, gore is not what you're going to get with these kind of movies. These movies are more based on trying to be scary, trying to be frightening. One thing I will say that I like is that James Wan co-wrote the story on this. And one thing that James Wan, I've heard him say in interviews and commentaries and stuff, is he's not really a big fan of jump scares. He always believes like if something's going to jump out at you, it should be a real genuine threat. And that's one of the things I like in this movie, is that, it's not, you do get a couple of jump scares here and there, but it's not a lot of just boo scares. It really is like a genuine threat that's trying to attack Judy and Mary Ellen and Daniela and Bob and all this stuff. And, they have to really defeat, the demon and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, I think this movie really does fit pretty well in the Conjuring universe. And like I said, the first one, not very good. Second one, a little bit better. This one, I think, was pretty well done, really good. It was a lot of fun, even though they're not in the whole movie. Unfortunately, like Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga come back, and they just basically book in the movie. But the time they have in the movie, it's great to see them again. If you're fans of their portrayal of the Warrens, like with the first two Conjuring, usually what they try to do with the Conjuring movies, they try to do a lot of character development. And they really want you to try to invest in these characters and really like these characters. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's like, the characters of Ed and Lorraine Warren, can draw you in. the character of Judy is more fleshed out, and she's, you can warm up to her pretty much. Mary Ellen and Daniela. Daniela, at first, she starts off kind of this pesky little brat of a girl, but even she grows on you because you realize like she messed up, but she's really a good person at heart. But anyway, yeah, this movie it's pretty good. But like, if you're not really a diehard fan of the Conjuring films and stuff, you're not going to go for this. But I would say even if you didn't like the first two first two Annabelle movies, I say maybe give this one a shot. You might like this one a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this one over the first two. So anyway, so yeah, but be warned. That's one thing you're gonna find out. This whole movie, it really is. It's a setup to future Conjuring movies. Obviously, this movie's gonna set up the third Conjuring film. It's gonna set up more spin-off movies. So just so you know what you're in for. So anyway, that's going to do it. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, please like and subscribe. And subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We have a different reviewer every day of the week. Different guys doing different stuff. Everybody's great. Everybody's doing good stuff. And that's it. Everybody, please take care of yourselves. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.